It's almost Halloween and I'm still playing this this visual novel because it's too long. Hopefully we'll get this done by Halloween. Maybe we can do like one quick horror game. Another quick horror game for Halloween. I think we're getting very close to the end of this game. Oh, let me get some water here before we start. Because no matter how heavy the weight of these feelings are, I'm not yet worthy of them. What is he talking about? Oh, worthy of Isabella's love of her. Until then, little words and gestures are the only things I can offer. Minor stuff, such as digging deeper into this thing with BRC in order to ease her worries. I'm not even sure if this will give us anything. Unlike with the firm case, which already have proper leads on, I'm just going by her word on this. Speaking of the Luxborn firm case, Yoshi! I still have to inform the professor. The apprehension's there for sure. I've made a lot of promises to the man, and I would have preferred to tell him in person, not go over the phone. Not over the phone. But it's better for him to hear it from me rather than from a stranger. The railings offer steady support while I wait for him to answer. I'd like to think I can do this without losing my nerve. Okay, I gotta check on Yoshi real quick here. My grip on the bars surely tightens though once the call connects. Ashton.
Not running today, Professor?
Yoshi. Yoshi's hunting for chicken. He's usually at the park on late Saturday mornings, as long as it isn't raining cats and dogs. Keeps him young and healthy, he says, and he's certainly fit for a man of his age with his sedentary job. It's weird that he would notice that.
Oh no, not today.
He's definitely at the usual place, though. Cheers and laughter, likely from children and families, filter through the receiver. I tend to avoid the park precisely because of this. No use reminding myself of the cloud of the could haves when it's already over. Mom's doing well with her career. Dad's also fine from the last time I visited. Although neither remarried, they're both content with their lives as it is. I'm probably the only one still caught up with it, hence my aversion. But all in all, it's still a pleasant sight to see, if you're the kind that takes joy in such sights like Professor Clark does. He's making a lot of assumption about this professor.
Just thought I'd enjoy the nice weather before it takes a turn for the norm again. Not too what, do I owe the pleasure?
The guy suddenly seems happy right now, in any case. I almost don't want to break the news to him. But it's better to get this off quick as long as he doesn't shoot the messenger. He's not the type. However, long-held resentment can change a person, even someone as mild-mannered as the professor.
I was hoping to talk to you about the case.
I suppose I'm just a downer today. As soon as I say those words, he pauses, and the lightness in his voice is gone in an instant. Every time we talk about this in the past, he does that. He's probably trying to gauge the situation based on the tone of my voice. Perhaps it's a good thing I'm delivering this news through the phone. Who knows what he'll see in my face, in my mannerisms. The art of keen observation. I learned it from the man. He probably already has an idea what this might be about from my manner of speaking alone.
You aren't in trouble, are you?
For a second I hesitate, looking at the dirt beneath my shoes. But I manage, eventually, after a long, ragged draw of breath. I pick up where I've left off, though still fumbling with my words.
Well, I'm in a bit of trouble, if you could call it that.
Ashton,
He only assumes that tone when there's a reprimand that's at its heels.
But I'm not in danger or anything.
you've said that same excuse a million times before, Detective Inspector. That exhausted rasp in your voice tells a different story.
It's nothing like what you're thinking. Don't worry. I was taken off the Luxborn firm case.
I expect anger, frustration, maybe even disappointment. But all he gives me is a small sigh of relief. No, don't do it over there, do it over here.
Is that so? Well, at least you aren't in danger. Liz wouldn't be too happy if she heard you right now.
Liz. Aunt Liz. She insisted I call her. His late wife. A sweet-tempered woman by so many standards. They were never blessed with kids, and contented herself with simply managing their bakery. But she's the closest I had to a mom in the few years I had known her. The professor, too. In the absence of my own parents in my life, the two filled the ache their divorce left in me.
Believe me, you'd get an earful. You don't want to show up at her doorstep looking like you haven't slept a wink either.
How many years has it been since? 9? 10? I can still remember it vividly. Two men, primly dressed, briefcases in hand, and a stern look on each of their faces. They were already frequent visitors to the bakery for a few months. Something about the lot being a prime property in downtown Luxborn. I think they were hoping to settle a deal with them, but neither of the couple gave in to their demands. Why should they? That quaint little shop was a dream for them. Aunt Liz sent me home early that night after a fruitless wait for the professor. The next morning, the news of a bakery razed to the ground had spread across the whole city. One casualty. A few weeks later, the property was sold to Wright Enterprise. A fucking hotel now stands in its place. Of course, an investigation was launched after the incident. The name Luke Wright was briefly at the center of it, but with the lack of any evidence, the case ultimately went cold. The professor hides it well, however. I can tell that he hates that man to this day. He might even blame Luke Wright for every tragedy that happens in the city. He has never blamed me, though, when I'm as equally responsible, huh? I knew something soft the moment those men stepped inside the shop. I could have saved her that night. I could have prevented anything from happening to her. Call for help or whatever. I didn't. So it continues to eat at me until today. The guilt. The Luxborn firm case would have been our chance at reopening that old case, if we could prove Luke right of his crimes. Instead, we're back to square one. Yet, all he has for me are words of comfort. To think he can still be this concerned about me. After my carelessness, after I've broken another promise a second time. People never cease to amaze me.
You might think that you have failed as an officer. Or maybe you think that you have failed me. And you know more than anyone. I would love to see that man taken down. If anyone deserves to be tried in high court, it's him. But I'm glad nothing's happened to you while you were working on this. That's what's most important. I hate to get news like that again.
Suddenly he stops. I imagine a thoughtful look flashing in his eyes as he thumbs the wedding band on his ring finger before he continues. Another habit. He has never removed it since that day. Has never thought of once to remarry, even when he managed to continue with his life and return to some semblance of normalcy. It's his way of honoring her, I suppose, when he couldn't bring justice to the man responsible for his loss. Some people are just hard to forget.
It's not like another death. Yours or even his will bring back my wife.
Silence falls between us afterwards. I don't quite know what to say after that, really. Should I apologize? Should show some sympathy? Going into this, I should have thought of something other than just breaking the news to him. As it is, it seems the only thing we can do is feel sorry for each other's misfortunes.
I apologize too for putting you up to this.
In another occasion, under different circumstances, I might have accepted that, but
You didn't have to. But you've already done more than any officer who has investigated this. So don't worry about this, old man. I know your department's people all have their hands full recently too. What with the upsetting news we've been getting as of late. Deaths almost every day. I'm not entirely sure if that has anything to do with the other. It seems too big even for someone like him. But if this is that man's doing...
Professor, please.
maybe if things around me hadn't started going beyond my control, the letter, the mansion, the supposed curse behind those, I'd still be quick to blame it all on the bastard too. But as much as I want to keep holding him responsible for it, to add another to his list of sins, it might not be the case. Agreeing will only cut a deeper wound on the professor. I don't want him to keep clinging to his resentment for much longer. He has already gone through so many years of it. This kind of danger is the sort that blinds people. Despite his reassurances, the bitterness still seeps into every syllable he utters. It's one thing for me to act like this. It's painful to watch someone I've considered a second father to go down this path.
Please don't apologize. It's really alright. I can try to get it back on Monday when I meet with the chief. No promises, but if not, I'll make sure to keep an ear out for any news. Chief said he's passing it on to a senior officer. I should be able to catch a few tidbits every once in a while. But I swear I won't just give up on this. I'll do everything in my power to get Aunt Liz's case reopened for you.
Promises. Again, a bad habit at this point. I wish I could do more for him at this time. I've prided myself over being the one to always know. Because suddenly, aside from right and the murderers plaguing the city. I have ghosts and curses to worry about. Things that are completely out my depth. Professor Clark's right in some way. Things would be so much easier if we just blamed Luke Wright for all of this. At least finding evidence would be a breeze, and I'd be all too happy to put him in a place he belongs. Although, if he was in any way also complicit to what's happening, legalities have my hands tied. But maybe that's my fault. I might have missed the ticket to closing the case once, and for all last night, if only I had done a better job during the party. But then, the commotion. There was Hannah Wright and Rebecca distracting me from my purpose too. I'd include that gate chaser as well, even though it's only for a moment. The gate crasher, gate chaser. So many things have gone wrong last night that...
This isn't a prank! I saw something! See? This is why I didn't want to tell you guys. It's not a joke. Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Last night, at the party...
But it's real! What do you think I saw? It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
That woman...
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her.
Shit. If that was what Isabella had been warning us about, if that was the same thing Rebecca talked about last night, the timer on that phone reset. How many of these instances have dismissed since reading the letter? How many have I ignored and passed off as some sort of fatigue or lack of sleep? Even last night, a hallucinogen lacing the food is the first thing I considered, purely because that's what my training dictates. It's a mindset I've grown used to. It's the setting the gears in my head automatically takes in a situation like that. Of course, I'm not discounting all of that yet until I have enough information, something to form a conclusion from. Proof in whatever form it may come. But thinking it straight is impossible when, all of a sudden, all your beliefs are being upturned in the most violent way possible at that. Jesus, I need a sounding board. I need to talk to someone, and Zach's the best person for that.
I have to go, Professor.
Oh, no problem. But what are you?
I don't have time to stop and listen to what the professor has to say as I cut the call short. So rude. Ashton Frey. No, that's not it. What is that? It's after that one. While waiting for Isabella, Ashton called Professor Andrew Clark to inform him of his dismissal from the Luxborn firm case. While Andrew assured him that it was fine, the detective promised to keep an eye on the case. However, a realization cut the conversation short. In the same second, Isabella emerges from her apartment, fully dressed and ready for the day. As usual, she greets me with a smile, but it falls just as fast as she catches a glimpse of my face. Shame, that would have been the first comforting thing I see today. It annoys me that I'm partially responsible for the worried one replacing it. I must look close to a picture of someone choking or dying, because there's nothing but concern in the first words she speaks.
Ash, are you... Do you need to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, no, I don't, okay? But we should hurry. Come on, don't forget to lock your door.
Seriously, you look like you're about to fall over. Are you alright? Because if you're planning to faint right here, I won't be able to carry you.
Yes, don't mind me. I just remembered some stuff from last night. I need to talk to Z-Man about this. Mind if we drop by his place first?
Shouldn't we call him? To let him know? It's still pretty early, but we'd probably arrive there around noon. Also, what do you mean about this? Is Zach?
He was also there when I opened the letter, right? He read it too. I'm sure he's fine, but it wouldn't hurt to check on him. To make sure. See if he'll say the same things you told me yesterday.
If he's also been seeing things. If it's also the same woman I saw last night.
I'm not saying there's really a curse yet, but we have to look at this from every possible angle. And don't worry, he won't mind. He's probably just watching TV right now. Let's go.
Okay, but speak up if you're not feeling well. You really look like you're choking on something. You didn't have to do this for me in the first place.
You know it's not as simple as that.
We head down to my car in record time, with not a single second wasted to hit the road and drive to Zach's place. If any one of us, other than Isabella, who knows anything about what's going on, who can help sort the muddled mess my mind is. It's gotta be him. He listened to her. Zach's the kind who prefers to laze around his apartment on a weekend, especially after having a busy week like the last one. The big guy's nowhere in sight, though, when I arrive in his unit. Figures, people don't seem to be where they should be, and when I need them. Looking around, I find no sign where he might have gone to. He usually leaves a note on his fridge if he's out for the day, just in case someone drops by. As there isn't one, he probably just went out for a quick walk. I hope. Maybe he ran out of eggs or something and went out to buy some. He is out of eggs, after all. It puts my running mind to rest for a while. He always has to have some, be it for an omelet or something he's baking.
Ash, should you be rummaging around? It's bad enough we went in here without asking for his permission.
Chill, I'm just looking.
Actually, I could also go for a fucking pie right now, but Zach's fridge is next to empty, save for a few leftovers. All I can do is sigh as I close it behind me.
If you see me take anything, feel free to call the police.
Isabella's quick to shoot me a sharp glare, and another chuckle slips from me, despite the unease in my stomach. But the cheer only lasts a mere few seconds, mostly because she hasn't been in the mood for any sort of friendly banter. It's the silence that's telling, and a quiet Isabella? It's usually the first recipe for an incoming shitstorm.
Do you always do this whenever you visit another person's house? Because I have a lot of questions about your methods.
Just with Zach.
I'm still worried for our friend, of course, and despite what's bothering Isabella, she's anxious too. She's been standing by the doorway for a few good minutes now, since we entered Zach's place. In fact, doesn't seem to know what to do with herself. But as much as I want to put her at ease, her nervous tics are starting to get to me. In the manner in which she makes herself smaller, the way she fidgets her hands, clasping them one moment and unfurling in the next. It's distracting enough that I want to ask what's wrong. I doubt she'll give me a straight answer though, and the best I can do is help her temper it.
You don't have to hang around the door. You might be here for a while. You can sit down.
She hesitates for a second, but eventually takes the empty seat by Zach's study table.
Aren't we going to look for him?
Sure, we can, but where are we going to start? I can think of a few places he might be, but Luxborn's a big city. I don't want to miss the big guy if we leave, and...
I trail off, making a vague gesture in the general direction of Zach's bed. The messy bed suggests he was out in a hurry. He didn't even bother to fold the sheets. His cell phone's been left behind as well. Another odd thing when he has made it a habit to never leave it behind in case of a client calls.
At least the locked door points to the fact that it wasn't a forced exit.
That seems to reassure her, but not so much. Understandable, anything might happen. In hindsight, I should have left Rebecca alone either. I shouldn't have left Rebecca alone. We'll have to check on her later. In the meantime, Zach, but with no other clue where he is and no other way to contact him, we have no choice but to wait. Sure, I could give the room another thorough run-through, but I don't think that Zach would appreciate me upending his place. Isabella won't let me do that either. Besides, I haven't eaten anything yet. Isabella probably hasn't too. We did leave in a hurry. Might as well take this chance to cool down a bit, right? Anything to distract myself so that I don't just charge head first because of whatever paranoid scheme that comes to mind. Isabella is with me. I can't be reckless. Returning to the kitchen, the first thing I see is a bag of chips when I rifle through his cupboards. After muttering a permission and an apology its owner won't hear, I grab it. Isabella doesn't miss shooting me another glare, but she doesn't really make an effort to stop me this time. She ignores my offer of food though. So instead, I set myself on Zach's old couch and turn on the television. Isabella's silence may not be too heavy, but it sure as hell is awkward. The screen lights up right as some awful noontime drama starts airing on Channel 9. Nothing like sitting in front of the TV with a mindless drone running in the background to waste away the time. And waste it away we do. The afternoon has hit its last few hours when movement comes from the other side of the door, and Zach's heavy threads break the monotonous dribble from the TV. The lock clicks, the knob turns, and slowly it swings open to reveal a very exhausted looking Zach. What, did he run the marathon?
Sup, Z-Man?
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Light as my tone might be, his arrival eases the restless edge in me. Who knows what I would have done if something bad happened to one of my friends. If another minute had gone by without him showing up, I might have resorted to unconventional methods.
Only after you broke the 13th one? I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment. And stop calling me Z-Man!
I didn't break anything this time.
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And hey, is that my...
It's scary how the friendly banter and easy smile come naturally. I do it even without thinking, and that speaks volumes about how comfortable I am around him. That's nice, isn't it? What makes me afraid of it, however, is the idea that a time might come where I might just do these without even meaning to and offend him in some way. The friendship we have might be closer than most have shared with others, but they are boundaries you can't cross without the other's permission. Zach's been respectful of that so far, neither asking about my parents or what happened to them. Me? I'd bet he'd say, not so much. It's also this easy banter that makes me wish we could just stay like this. No worries, no problems. Just potato chips and the debate on whether or not I deserve them. But as usual, something always cut moments like this short.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend. Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know. What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food? What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Although her tone forces him to do a double take, Zack doesn't push it. The question is all too clear in his eyes when he glances my way, though. I wish I could answer him. Despite my best effort, Isabella's been unforthcoming as well. What am I supposed to do? I can't just force her to speak, can I? She's not a criminal to be interrogated. She's a friend, for Pete's sake. It's a good thing Zack has a better handle of the situation than I, and soon enough he changes the subject. Where it leads to isn't necessarily the better topic, however.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so. I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do. Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came here for. Ash, he's the one who...
She stumbles into one of her uncertain silences again before glancing my way. There's a plea in there for me to take the lead in this. But where do we start? The mansion? The strange things we've been seeing? The letter? Even I am afraid of what he might say. I can't even believe I'm considering taking a deeper look into this whole thing in the first place, but here I am.
Please don't tell me something happened again.
No, nothing. None so far. And we're keeping it that way as much as possible.
Ash, it's not that easy. This isn't some...
We don't know that. Let me...
Sometimes I amaze myself how much I try for her. But what else can I offer her? I was the one who brushed her off. We've been given our warnings that day, in that desperate, pleading tone of hers, and I just stood there, judging her. This is the least I can do, perhaps even to make up for all those other times I've hurt her.
Let me look at this first, okay? I agreed to help, but you've got to let me handle things from now on.
I already told you everything.
There must be something we're not seeing in this just yet. We'll sort this out, but no more silly ideas and running around on your own. You're making people worry more than necessary.
So everything's fine?
Depends on who you're asking. How are things with you? Anything odd?
Good, I guess. Admittedly, how things went down at the housewarming party last night threw me off a bit.
I'm not asking about that. Remember the letter thing Isabella's been yapping on about? I'm asking about that kind of odd.
As expected, Zack starts to look at me like I've grown a second head. Yeah, I would too if there was ever a universe where I was standing in front of myself. Because even as a child, I never believed in ghost stories. The Lucky Charms and mystical objects from my mother have often been stored away or given as paltry gifts to those who would appreciate them more.
Well, the dreams, they're a lot worse than usual. There's a woman now, ever since we saw that letter. I don't know if it's the same one Isabella talked about. Maybe it is, maybe it
It's
ain't.
just a repeat interaction too. They need to do something about these repeat interactions.
I really don't want to go back to sleep sometimes.
And they're trying to
Last
show
night
like
was the worst.
the perspective from the other characters, but then they can just summarize the scene, instead of going through it bit by bit.
Anyway, why are you asking about this?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach. It may have something to do with... I may have...
Wait, stop right there for a sec, Bella. I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
Granted, I haven't eliminated every single possibility here yet, but what else is there to go off on from here? The worried look Zack shoots my way doesn't help one bit in helping me gather my thoughts earlier, either when that's what I came here for. Somehow everyone's suddenly just so worried about me. It's not like I'm pulling this out of my ass.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
And along with Isabella's warnings, what's occurring around Zach? What's happening around Lexborn since Isabella found the letter?
Have you two seen the news this morning?
Zach's puzzled expression is enough answer. Of course he hasn't. Another night, another nightmare. The guy most likely went out as soon as he got out of bed to shake the images off. The memories have never really left him. Isabella, though.
I haven't, actually. Mama called, and I was busy.
Mama. That could easily mean anything. Did her Kuya, her older brother, end up in jail again? She's had to bail him out numerous times in the past, though all that did was piss her off, not sap every ounce of cheer in her. Or is that the other brother, the younger one who keeps insisting that he'll quit school so he could come home? That was 2 years ago, as far as I know. She already sorted that one out. It couldn't have been her father, right? With the mansion sale, she hasn't earned enough to cover every bill for a while. It should. So what is it then?
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
Whatever's bugging her, I doubt it's something meant for casual discussion. Else she would have mentioned it sooner. Tucking my curiosity for later, I take the remote and begin cycling through the channels. A distraction. Not a good one, I admit, but it's definitely better than leaving her to brood. Eventually I find one doing a recap of this morning's reports, and there it is. The poor guy is unidentified with how badly his body's been burnt. Murder via arson? That'd be the logical explanation if I was the officer looking into it. Except they couldn't find the source of the fire. The fire didn't even spread.
Burned dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxborn police.
They're going to consider spontaneous human combustion soon enough if they don't find anything else. But what's important for everyone to note is the state of the room.
A similar writing was found in another victim's room from last week's incident. Both were employees of Briar Realty Corporation. LBN has reached out to the...
Like what happened to Cooper. I wonder how many other deaths like this that I've missed while I've been looking into it right. The LPD is already thinking it's a serial killer at this point. How long until they consult with the London Metropolitan? I'm not sure. The Anselm Butcher has always been an enigma, even to the people within this city. Gone for a few years, then in the next, one body after another is found. Merely handling the case has apparently driven the chief inspector insane years ago. He did not find out who committed those murders. Maybe now, this time.
This is because of that thing, isn't it? I did this somehow.
Her words all come out like a whisper, but each syllable lingers in the air, heavy with her guilt. In the thick tension of the room, they strike harsher than any of the things we've said. However, she also has to know that she isn't the only one on this. No one has asked her to take this upon herself. Rebecca won't. Zach won't. I sure as hell won't.
We'll find a way. Somehow. I don't know. This appears to be more complicated than I initially thought, but there has to be some way.
Reassurances have always felt foreign in my tongue. Ask me to shoot a target 500 yards away. I'll do it in a heartbeat. Assign me to a high-profile case, I'll hand in a solid lead within a few weeks. That's where I've functioned best. Matters of the heart and feelings? Shooting myself in the foot seems preferable than racking my brain for the proper words to convey. But I try because no matter how many times I tell myself I can do this on my own, I need her right now.
On top of that, we don't have any concrete proof yet. For all we know, it could just be someone clever enough to use those silly legends to cover up for his crimes. I wouldn't put it past whoever that is. He's gone and killed 2 people already. But that's why I want to look into this, whether I have this case or not. I want to see for myself what it is. It's my job to know in the first place.
Then, what about...
And even if it is connected in any way, You have me and Zach helping you out. Becca too, I'm sure. She worries most out of anyone. So whatever shit you found yourself in, know you're not alone. Just promise you won't run off anywhere by yourself.
Encouragements aside, this is still a whole fucking mess, and we're in it blind. The only way to make it worse if we start running around like a bunch of headless chickens. But I have a concrete plan now, I think. Maybe Isabella's right. Maybe we should dig deeper into BRC itself. Maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. However, my suspicions are mine for the moment. The details are something Zach doesn't need to know until I have something to show. It's enough that he's aware that I have an idea in mind. For his part, Z-Man doesn't push it, and nothing but a heavy silence leads our departure hours later. Seriously, Zach would probably make a more responsible officer than me if he had only the heart to join the force. We could certainly use more kind people like him. But as good as that thought is, I push all of it into the back of my mind as Isabella and I head for my car. Tonight I can't stay distracted. Except for a few half-hearted attempts to get some kind of reaction from Isabella, the drive to BRC is a quiet, awkward affair. More so, the hour-long wait for nightfall. Even with the two of us, the place is rife with tense energy. Only a matter of minutes now. But the ticking seconds don't take away the edge. For the 5th time, I reach out and fiddle with the radio, adjusting and turning the knobs with no real purpose. It's a nervous quirk I've developed and never bothered to correct during stakeouts. Something to keep my mind occupied during long nights. What else is there for me to do? The person I usually count on for casual, out of the blue chat refuses my attempt at starting one.
Ash, out with it! If you...
What? Hold on.
Ash, out with it! If you have something to say.
The way she quickly falters into silence after, in spite of the tone she takes, though, it makes me doubt if she really means anything she's telling me right now. She hasn't even glanced my way since we arrived.
Having second thoughts? You can still back out if you want.
We're just going to my office. Why should I?
Dunno. You can get in trouble, maybe. This isn't exactly legal.
Scope BRC out, see if the real estate company has any more information than may be of help. Find things about Cooper and the other agents assigned to the Armor God mansion. According to Isabella, it's the last property the victim have worked on. Sure, I could also check the station for full reports. That's the easy, semi-legal way. But I don't want to bump into Chief right now. The guy at the precinct will definitely throw me out of his orders. On his orders as soon as they see me. Not that my plan right now is any better. I'm just breaking into a different place, more or less, with a civilian to boot. The latter still doesn't sit well with me. It never will, especially if this might put her in a very tricky position afterwards. She's been very careful when it comes to her work, almost a model employee, as people would say. Why is she throwing caution to the wind now?
I'm not an employee here. I'm not supposed to be looking for any confidential stuff. Only people like you are privy to.
If you mentioned earlier that this is your plan, I might have had enough time to think about it. I already promised to help if you need access to those files. I didn't think you'd want to see them this soon and in this way. Besides, the same goes for you, right? You were taken off your case. Won't you get in trouble with your boss?
Honestly, it's a toss-up between breaking into her office or into the Wright's mansion. As it stands, I'll have an easier time getting in here first. After all, why would someone want to break into a realty company? Been here many times before anyway, for a few casual visits when I wanted to bug Scaredy Cat. Over the years, I have more or less grown familiar with their security setup and how badly staffed they are. Plus, it's an old building. If the bankruptcy rumors are true, it just means their access protocols might also be outdated.
Still, I can do this on my own, you know.
Really? And how are you even planning to get into our office without an access card? Please explain.
Well, I was going to pry open the card reader and use a gecko.
You're a hopeless case. I really want to know why no one has locked you up yet.
Yeah, you're helping me with this. Willingly. I don't think that'll sit well with the Philippine embassy either. Chances are you'll probably get deported the minute they find out.
Low blow, I know, but it's worth a shot when she can still turn back. It's not like I don't have any means to get into the place. With or without her, I have a way.
At least I have a reason to be snooping about. My badge and rank can speak for me in case things go south. You?
For a passing second, it seems to work. A hint of panic and hesitation flashes across her features when she looks to me with searching eyes. Then, unexpectedly, it dissolves. Not behind the fear I'm anticipating, but underneath something sharp and searing. I'm not sure what she sees exactly or what she's hoping to find in the short while she holds my gaze. All of it merely goes unspoken, and no longer than a minute later, she simply averts her attention back to the window, training it once again at some point outside.
Isabella, please, now's not the time.
It's too late for that, Ash. Give it a rest.
An appeal, spoken in a voice too harsh coming from her. Perhaps unintentional, perhaps one that's already too exhausted of everything going on lately. It's hard not to concede when she takes on that note, and soon, despite myself, I sigh. Tucking away every concern I've been lugging around in favor of trusting her on this, according her the same confidence she has implicitly given me all this time.
Alright, okay, if that's what you want. And don't worry, I didn't mean what I said earlier. I won't let anything happen to you.
Oh, God. Her lips briefly turn up in a smile, though none of the cheer reaches her eyes.
Just get this over with, okay? Everyone should be out of the office by now.
Somehow, the uncertainty in her posture makes me wonder if she intended it as some kind of a comforting gesture. Whether it's for me or for her, she doesn't let me find out. Without saying another word, she exits the car, while I'm left scrambling and chasing after her. She's already at the side entrance, a hand raised on the card reader beside it, and another poised to push the door open when I catch up to her. Whatever doubt she has in her face a while ago, it's gone. Seeing her like this makes it easier to believe my worries are unfounded, that things might go smoothly this time.
And where do you think you kids are going?
The bloke seems friendly enough, though one can't really tell from his voice alone. He might be the wary sort, for all I know. Keeping an unconcerned face and aloof air won't hurt until I figured out to wiggle us out of the situation.
Just come back on Monday if you have important business.
But from the way Isabella's face brightens up, it looks as though getting through won't be too much of a problem. He's probably been working here for a few months already then, maybe around 4 to 6 months max. Otherwise, he wouldn't have recognized Isabella or me at first glance. I haven't shown my face here since I've been assigned to the firm case a year ago. In the first place, none of the security officers ever lasted a year in service. The longest was around 7.5. I'll give this guy around that before he gets fired or finds a better paying job. For the moment, his too friendly attitude is almost a gift.
Hey, Seb!
Oh, look who we have here. Been a few days since I last saw that ponytail in here, Santiago?
Santiago, what?
Close enough!
Wait, don't tell me yet. I'll get it right this time. Sanchez!
You were closer the first time?
Drat. I swear he's on the tip of my tongue. I just need a hint to remember.
Take it back. This geezer's not going to last past this month. Can't even remember a regular employee's name.
Alright, I'm sure of it this time. Centillon?
Still a few ways off, Seb.
Isabella, we don't have all night.
No, just let me handle this. Sorry, Seb. Some other time. We're in a bit of a hurry. I just need to get a few things from my cubicle. Important work stuff, you know? Is it okay if we drop upstairs for a sec?
Oh, absolutely. No, go right ahead. As long as you have your access card with you, we're good. Not sure if I'm allowed to let your boyfriend in, though.
Who, me?
My what?
Your boyfriend. The guy with you, isn't he?
It's a fair observation, if I do say so myself. Needless to say, the silence that descends is both uncomfortable and terribly awkward. Although the latter is probably coming mostly from me, because in the next second, Isabella laughs. Lighter than the ones I've heard from her lately. A comforting sound, really, after seeing her in such a dour mood since this morning. Even as all of it subsides into mere chuckles sooner than I'd like. It's comforting to see that I'm at least partially responsible for it, despite my poor heart being beaten to a sorry pulp.
Oh, no! No. He's definitely not my boyfriend.
She might as well have set it on fire and reduced it to dust while she's at it. Frankly, the number of no's in that sentence alone is a bit too much. Christ, one would have been enough to get the message across. Did she really have to put it that way?
That's impossible! Stop being funny, Seb. I'll go on ahead, okay?
She quickly shuffles inside with nothing more than a small wave, leaving behind an even more awkward atmosphere for me to wade through. It would have been bearable if I didn't have to suffer through a stranger's amusement. Alas, woe is me.
Not the boyfriend, but close to it, huh?
Mind your own business.
Kids these days. Good to see her up and about, though. But for sure she'd up and disappear like the others.
Excuse me?
You know, stuff in the news.
You mean what happened with Rose Cooper?
I'm going to be stuck here with him for a while. Might as well try to gather as much intel as I can. He may just be a guard, someone with no real authority, but most of the time, people like him are the ones who know more than they let on. How... I mean, so I guess it's like an intercom. Okay.
Those guys could have just resigned for all you know.
No, I only catch tidbits of stuff from over here. Oh, seriously, I heard the branch is getting flushed soon, but that's no excuse for anarchy. Figures why Boss Man's been in an awful temper these past months.
They managed to strike a good deal with the mansion in Ansem, right? That didn't do the trick?
Didn't seem like it. The bloke shouting like no tomorrow again. Wasn't very pleased when Gurley called and asked for another leave yesterday afternoon.
Girly? Isabella?
It's not too surprising, considering she's already been gone for 3 days. Now she's asking for another? Not that it's a bad thing, it's within her rights as an employee, but Isabella rarely uses her work leave.
Yeah, poor lassie if you ask me. She found him a buyer for that mansion after all. The least you could do is be considerate to her after a family member's passing.
Wait, what?
The rumors, BRC, Rose Cooper, missing in action employees, all of it ceases to matter in that instant. Almost on instinct, my eyes zero in on the intercom speaker, as if staring daggers at it will show me the man behind the voice so I can see the truth in his face myself.
Oh, you don't know?
No, what?
Nothing. I shouldn't be the one you're asking, and, things might get a bit boring here. No one really wants to hear what a poor old guard wants to say. Why don't you just go after her? As long as you're not looking to create trouble for me, it won't be a problem. You aren't here for that, right?
He's lucky I'm not here to hurt anyone. If I were someone with ill intentions, he might not be smiling at the end of the day.
Well, no, but...
I'll go and unlock that side entrance for you then. Just don't forget to turn off the lights before you both leave, okay?
Hey, wait a second. What do you mean by...
He cuts off the connection before I can finish, and the rest of my question dies in my throat. Soon the latch clicks and the side door swings open. The Seb, a stout man wearing a uniform still too loose for him, waves me over from the gap before he disappears behind his station again. Just my luck. Here I thought I'm going to have to count on whatever Isabella brings with her. Although no matter how much I want to feel happy, something else has already taken a firm seat in the forefront of my mind. Is that why she's been acting not like herself today? Since when? Of course, as I step into the building, I try to push all these questions as far down as I can. I need to focus. Work is work. But if what I've heard is exactly what I think it is, it's a sign of things to come. Honestly, I don't feel too good about that. It's a quiet ride up to the 7th floor where the BRC Luxborn main office is. Seb has been kind enough to switch the guest elevator's power on, just as I'm about ready to head for the fire exit stairs, which is a welcome relief. I'm an active guy, but stairs? I don't want to tire out too quickly in case things get ugly. There probably won't be any trouble with the building this quiet, but you never know, I swear. The whole place definitely feels eerie at this time of night. But until I've confirmed everything, those are just stories. Worse things can happen. No need to scare myself. Staying calm means fewer mistakes.
Oh, I sure am fucking gutsy, especially with what I'm doing.
I'm breaking a lot of laws here. I'm also putting Isabella in a lot of risks. Best thing that I can come out of this is that Isabella's right all along. Worst case scenario? 1. Someone finds out Isabella's involvement in this and her boss fires her. 2. I find evidence that would implicate BRC and Luke Wright in a crime, and my meddling, if I'm not careful enough, makes it inadmissible in court. Though I'll be honest, I strongly prefer losing my job or facing Wright over some spirit or ghost or whatever it is. I could always work around the problems with the former. Isabella could always find a better job. BRC never did pay her properly, despite her efforts. But fighting off a phantom? How does one even do that? Do guns even work with them?
Yeah, not going to happen.
But tonight, I'm here to fix things. If I do it without leaving a trail, all the better. Good thing that's what I'm good at. What I'll probably never be good at is finding the proper words when a sitch calls for it. But seeing Isabella's small form beyond those doors, how she pushes through despite carrying an entirely different burden this time, how she's pretending as if everything's normal, it's difficult not to try. People who have never looked beyond her smiles will never know. Will never understand. Hell, even Rebecca's probably not yet aware of this. I get it. We have other problems at hand. I've done the same thing plenty of times to protect myself, after all. But it's all in her eyes when she glances up at the few light wraps I give the door. She wastes no time in leaving the mess of papers on the table and opening it for me, though even her confusion as she takes in my presence barely hides it.
Seb, let you in?
The rough edge in her voice rings a whole different tune now that I'm aware why. But knowing is different from hearing it straight from her. I can't simply bring this up, can I? It's not a topic suited for casual conversation, and I doubt she wants to talk to me about it. As much as I want to help, there's a distance between us I'll never be able to cross. One that wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for me. Perhaps if I had been more honest years ago and less of a coward, I might have been able to. Figures I couldn't even do that for the person I keep telling myself that I care deeply about.
What can I say? I'm a very charming person.
To a rock, maybe.
It's just the closest we can get to it, I suppose. The light banter, the fleeting glances, or sometimes the long bouts of silence. And it's enough for me, it is, because even without words, there's comfort.
Get over yourself.
Hey now, I deserve some slack here. Today's supposed to be my day off, and yet here I am helping you out.
Helping. By standing at the door.
Well, you're not exactly letting me in.
Despite what she says, she moves to block me when I try to enter. She must have expected this. The second we walked up the building's entrance and counted on the night shift guard to bar me from the place. It's reassuring to know she's somehow worried about me, although it is a bit misplaced at the moment. Besides, her concerns aside, I really can't let her get into the thick of things without me, not with all the problems on her plate right now.
Isabella!
Seriously, Ash. Seth might get in trouble for this. You might get in even bigger trouble with your boss.
And you're not? We've already talked about this back at Zach's. It's out of the question.
Why was he screaming like that? What? Oh. Because that scream was just too desperate.
At least do it for Seb, please. He's a really nice guy. With the way things are going here, he's...
On that, I agree with her. Seb's not such a bad fella. He might be a little careless with his job and talks too much, but he means well. I'd hate to see the guy leave here with a bad record in case something goes wrong. However, the anxious looks she shoots back the table behind her bring an even bigger worry.
Did you find something? Aside from what you told me about yesterday?
Not yet. I'm not sure. I haven't started going through the files we have in the records room. Just the ones they handed to me in rows.
Let me see.
Wait, Ash!
Isabella, I already promised you that no one's going to get in trouble after we're done here. Even Seb. I'll make sure we leave the place clean.
Her hesitation's still there, a split second of indecision, as she tries to form an argument. Eventually, when nothing comes to mind, she steps aside.
Okay, but we can't take the original files out of this office, clear? Not even a single sheet. We'll just have to make a copy.
Don't worry, that's the plan.
It appears to reassure her, a nod, and then shortly she gestures for me to follow. Passing the sea of cubicles, I can't help but take in everything in their office, a force of habit for the most part. As far as I know, BRC Lexborn used to own this whole building. Offices in several floors, once upon a time, when the real estate is still a lucrative business for the company in this side of the country. Then competition showed up and suddenly everything not so good anymore. It's only got worse as the years went by. Or so, according to the rumors. Now the branch is just this floor, despite what the huge sign in the building facade says. And frankly, it's not too hard to believe when one looks at the state of this room right now. A number of desks have been cleared out. Personal mementos are scarce, as if the employees have gone on an exodus. That'll be the downsizing, probably. Still worrisome though. Of course, I shake away all of this when Isabella starts handing me the papers she's been looking through. Focus fray. There's no point in whining and dwelling any longer on it. That's why we're here in the first place, to find out what the real deal is, the old-fashioned way. Isabella's presence is a whole nother blessing, too. I could imagine how long this would take if I pushed going in there alone.
Is this everything? Where are the documents you mentioned?
Still locked up in the records room. Do you need them now?
Bring them here. Everything that has to do with the mansion's sale. Even those who worked on it during the renovations. The cleanup. Everything. Including your mandatory sign-in sheets.
It's an odd thing to bring up, but at least it elicits a laugh from her before she heads for the records room. She remembers, and no matter how weak the sound of it is from her usual ones, it's a welcome thing to hear. It reminds me that Isabella I know is still in there. She returns minutes later with a thick stack of folders and binders. For the next half hour, we work in complete silence while we dig into everything compiled in the folders. Not an easy task considering how thick the whole thing is, but there's two of us. In fact, Isabella does most of the work, sorting the contracts, the employee list, and stuff we won't need into a neat pile. Just the files for the restoration alone makes up a stack of papers that's an inch thick. The third-party service providers hired by the masonry, radiators, woodworking, plasterwork, slate roofing, and a whole bunch of other things are well documented. Hell, every single contractor who worked on the project was listed individually, even if they were just doing the plumbing. It's a high-profile and high-cost estate, alright. But with that scope comes the loopholes, means plenty of room to hide something in if there's something fishy going on. All I have to do is find a pattern, and it doesn't take long. Upon closer glance, despite the original owners shouldering the renovation costs, it'll be surprising if they've managed to break even on the Amagor mansion. What with additional expenses for the open house, the commission for their agents, and other overhead fees. At one point, the negotiations to get it listed on the BRC's name almost broke down too. Some disagreement about the listing price. The owners wanted to be rid of it as quickly as possible, while keeping the worth at a profitable level. BRC was insisting on a high amount, double what the appraiser suggested. Plus the rumor that their branch is closing. BRC Lexborn really is in the red, and the sale of the mansion could have easily been a desperate move to keep the branch afloat.
No wonder the final sale happened as fast as it did. Did you know about this?
No. They took it off our hands after I submitted the final documents for the sale. I didn't even know until I read this. I'm not sure if Rose did. I've only been given the key to the records room after she... Anyway, my point is, they've kept all the files from me. Rose was the one who compiled everything from our side. And even then, she was probably not aware of this. There's only so much they let us know. After that, they just told us to wait for our commission, and that the legal team would handle the rest. The rumors are true, huh?
Seems so.
Sheesh, this place is just unlucky, going bankrupt while the rest of this crap is happening. But this isn't what we're looking for. What we need is the who, the people aside from Isabella and Cooper involved in this business with the mansion, and the how they are now. We can't do much with the outside contractors. They won't be on file. The employee list, on the other hand, even with two people working through the pile, the whole task still takes quite a while. It's a quarter an hour later when we put down the papers with a sigh and move on to the clients upon Isabella's insistence. For that, the sign-in form from the open house comes in handy. Something that gives me a laugh when I spy the fake name I wrote on one of the sheets. Which one was him? Ashley.
Why'd I even pick this name? It sounds so lame.
What name?
Nothing important. Just focus on those papers you have. We need to finish this soon, before Seb suspects anything.
She snatches the paper away from the thought of hiding it occurs to me. Not that there's much secret in it. Isabella found me that afternoon anyway, but still.
Ash Lee?
I've been careless that day, trailing Luke Wright without confirming where they were headed off to. While the butler's terribly inefficient in keeping the Wrights' engagements from the public eye, there are other ways if only I've given it the time of my day. In the retrospect, I've been too eager, too impatient to find something that'll crack the case and be done with it. Maybe my failure goes as far back as the day of the open house, not during the party last night.
Yeah, well, I was pressed for time.
Seriously, Ash Lee? Were you even trying?
Oh, come on. You didn't even notice I was the one who wrote it down.
Of course I wouldn't. Only an idiot would use his real name.
It worked, though. Admit it. It's genius. Who would have thought, huh?
She responds with a roll of her eyes, then drops the matter entirely by shoving the paper back to my hands. We lapse back to our respective tasks afterwards, wordlessly skimming through everything. Read, set aside, get another one. Looking back at the sign-in sheet, I spot Luke Wright and Hannah Wright listed up top. Not that I don't know about them already, of course, but scanning through the list, a name immediately comes to my attention.
Madeline Williams.
Something wrong?
Huh? No, just that I remember this girl listed here.
She frowns, moves her seat closer, and takes careful read at the sheet. There's a long moment before she speaks up again, but from the way she tenses, she appears to be expecting the worst already.
What about her?
She was with me, in the group following Cooper, when we toured the upstairs part of the mansion, I mean. Rather loud one, especially when we took a peek into the attic. Kept talking about the ghost stories the whole tour.
Then, do you think she's...
She was reported missing 3 days after.
There was a ruckus at the precinct the day her family filed it. Threats were naturally given at the lack of progress days later, desperate ones. Her family's willing to shell out all the cash they have just to find her, but to no avail, unfortunately. Officer Benjamin has been in a bad mood ever since he spoke with them, but what can he do? What can we do? He's tied. We're all tied. There's only so much we're able to do with everything that has been shoved into our hands recently.
She still hasn't been found. It's already been a week.
Isabella makes no further comments aside from a nod. Instead, she sits back on her chair with a distant look in her eyes, her hands balling to a fist, as she struggles with her frustration. Or maybe it's anger. But the moment doesn't last too long. Soon her grip loosens and she folds her hands back on her lap. Her expression, however, it's one I've seen too many times in the mirror. What does one say to a person burdened not by one loss, but many, who carries it in her shoulders like a badge of shame? I've yet to find the answer to that myself. Until then, the only way is forward, pressing on to see where our attempts at fixing our mistakes might lead us. And despite my own doubts, a glimpse of that look on her face is enough reason for me. I can't just give up. There's too much at stake, too much to lose. With a renewed focus, I continue. On the third and last sheet, I spot another one. Beatrice Wilde, one I recall from the newspaper obituaries, died of a heart attack. A letter of correspondence expressing condolences to her family confirms as much in her files. Passed away at the age 74 in her sleep. I can't read that.
She's at that age. It certainly could have been a natural death.
Right? I'd like to believe so. But 3 more letters turn up when I rummage through the stack, and it leaves nothing more than a foreboding feeling in me. They're all addressed to families of clients who have passed away in the past week. Regardless, those go into the pile of things worth looking into after our visit here, along with William's info sheet. There are just so many names, so many faces, each one I've seen that day, and here I'm wondering if they're all alright. It isn't a selfless thought that brings the question in mind. Rather, it's the logic that if more of them are still alive, the more people I can choose to question. Nothing's concrete yet, of course. There are just speculations, but we're making progress. Once done with the sign-in sheets, I stash it along with the growing pile to my left and pull out as many of the other documents Isabella has already prepared for me. We're working through the employee lists now, those who have been assigned to the mansion. Because if Isabella was to be believed, if she's seen what happened to Rose Cooper is because of that letter, I need to know everyone who has possibly read it aside from the three of us if they've been noticing strange things too. For all I know, these may have just been a terrible coincidence. Although the thought of that starts to diminish as we dig into BRC's company files. 15 minutes later, the stack close to my elbow has risen from 5 to 21 different dossiers. Client and employee documentation. People who have either visited the open house or worked on the property in some capacity since the letter's discovery. Turns out there were 2 more employees who handled the mansion directly, aside from Cooper and Isabella. Christian Sy, the realty specialist, and Mark Julius Jean-Marie, the estate appraiser.
This C guy, he was in custody just the other day.
Really? Sir John has been looking for him. He stopped reporting to work a few weeks ago. Are you sure it's the same person?
Yep, this is him. Folks at the precinct said they went to his house after a noise complaint. They found him just acting all crazy. Had to take him in when he started getting violent. He kept screaming about a woman.
Immediately she stiffens. I don't want to bring it up or imply a connection to Isabella's story, but that is exactly what
It
happened.
was driving the guards mad, but he didn't last too long in there. A few hours in, and he just started bashing his own head against the wall, and, well, it was messy, to say the least.
Oh no, we had no idea. Is he okay? HR just marked him as AWOL because none of their calls would get through.
He's in the hospital right now. I heard they're putting him into a psychiatric ward as soon as he recovers. He's still a bit unstable.
Jean-Marie, on the other hand, his employee file notes his date of leaving and even when his final payment had been given. Along with it, there's a letter to his family about the appraiser being found dead in the office. Communication is hush-hush, and there's mention of compensation if you don't talk about it to the media. Inspector Abigail has often scolded me for not reading the reports on a regular basis, but I try to keep up to date as much as I can. When I do, I make sure I'm aware of the gist of what's going on in my city. This never reached the police ears or the health and safety executive.
Do you know about this guy?
One glance at her says everything. They've hidden it from the media. They've kept it from the police. It's not surprising this will also be a secret from someone of Isabella's position in this company. Fuck.
Rose was looking for him last week. We haven't heard anything from him either. Until now. They never mentioned this to us.
Business going under and someone dies while working here? Of course they want to keep that quiet. That's bad publicity. The whole thing is just getting freakier by the minute. Nevertheless, I handed the files for Isabella to make a copy of.
The pages with their names, addresses, and contact numbers will do. We'll start with the ones who live within the city.
Sometimes there are things you really can't brush off as mere coincidence. In my line of work, once a pattern pops up, it's only right to be suspicious. Especially the thing with Sai. It hits too close to the stuff my own friends have been telling me. Weird. Same thing with that. I guess I have to check that.
All of this?
It's considerably thinner than the one she brought in. Yet, somehow the way she hugs the folders close to herself makes it seem heavier. That is so strange. Okay, I'm gonna check those. How can Seasons come and go, from winter sun to summer snow. And in the first time at the rodeo. Like she's hanging on to it in the same manner one will latch on to a lifeline.
Only the noteworthy ones.
And those that might still be alive might. She doesn't need to know that.
We can't check the outside contractors, but the guys with the direct connection to BRC and the people who attended the open house should be enough. We don't have time to see how everyone's doing, especially if what you said is true.
For a second, she appears about to argue, then quickly decides against it and hides it away before anyone reads the question on her face. Then, in a too abrupt motion, she turns towards a copier and gets to work. Soon, only the machine's constant thrum fills the air around us, while I keep myself busy cleaning up the mess we've made. The lack of talk is awkward, to put it mildly, disturbing at worst. I've gotten used to letting her just babble away whenever it's just the two of us. To confirm this suspicion, Isabella helped Ashton break into the Briar Realty Corporation's Luxborn office that night. There, the files they found revealed the real deal with the mansion sale that was unknown even to Isabella, and something possibly more terrible. I could tell, however, she wants to do more. She wants to fix this mess herself, and that desire makes her antsy. But at the same time, she's learning how not to be impulsive or stubborn. Exactly I've told her yesterday before agreeing to do any of this. Or maybe these so-called changes have always been with her. Dire situations have always pushed people to change, after all. Although seeing this happen in front of me only makes it difficult to find the proper things to say. In an atmosphere this tense and charged, what is left for us to talk about? Certainly not the news. What's worse is when you only realize all of this in hindsight, right after you've already ran your mouth off.
You know, for a house your company seems to be in a hurry to sell, they still made quite a fortune out of it. Look at this. 1, 2, 3... 6. Are you sure they're planning to give your entire share for this? This isn't a small amount, especially given the usual cut. And their accounting department isn't in the greatest shape either.
Even if they don't, it's not like someone still needs it.
And there's a reason why people don't let me talk. Silence once again descends throughout the room, denser compared to the ones we've shared tonight. What? Behind me, I can still hear her movements, sharp and precise while she feeds the originals to the machine. Then, with one last click, all of it stops. Her feet shuffle slightly against the floor when she moves away. Something creaks softly, probably the table, as she settles her weight against its side. By this time, an apology is already at the tip of my tongue, but...
Belle,
Papa's gone, Ash.
Within those scant few seconds, everything between us shifts as the gravity of her words sink. Right then and there, something harsh and immovable rises between us. Death is something I'm familiar with. Almost 10 years in the police force, and it's impossible not to be acquainted with it. But this is different from those dead bodies we examined in forensics. A far cry from the victims we found on a bad investigation. Those I could easily distance myself from. No emotional attachments, no need for pretenses. Yet somehow, I find myself grasping for things to tell her. Any words of comfort that will dull the pain. Because even without looking at her, her grief feels palpable enough, her pain an immutable weight hanging over us. So gently I offer... You're gonna ruin your relationship with her because he's supposed to be because of Rebecca. Rebecca's such a bitch though. Just stay busy.
Just stay busy and you'll be okay.
Minus. At least that was what I told myself ever since Mom and Dad called it off years ago. Retreat. Find something else to focus on. Turn that little bundle of anger, frustration, and guilt into something productive. Clean, efficient. I'm not harming anyone. It worked for a time. So long as my grades never dipped below what people expected of me, they left me alone. It's not the best coping mechanism for a teenager, but it allowed me to get by. Though perhaps it's not for everyone, least of all her. I recognize my mistake the second I look up from work after a long bout of silence from her. The expression on her face. It's nothing sort of angry as she grips the folder between her hands, and she glares at me with an intensity that might burn. I've said something unforgivable. To her, asking her to bury all of it carries the different meaning. To her, forgetting means a denial.
What do you think I'm doing? Do you really think it's that easy?
Isabella, all I'm trying to say is that you should concentrate on other things right now.
And I'm not? I'm doing my best, alright? I know I got us into this mess. And now after everything, despite everything, he's gone. I didn't even get to talk to him before he... The last time we spoke, he was begging for me to go home. He didn't even want me to leave in the first place. Now look where that got us. Look where I got us.
Belle, this whole thing has got nothing to do with what happened to your dad. It was unfortunate, but...
Ashton, just please stop. I don't want to hear it anymore. Shut it. Please.
Pathetic. I can't even do this right. Another awkward silence falls over the room, until it all becomes unbearable, and half a heartbeat later, all I can do is step away from it, hide like I often do with all my mistakes. Hastily, I gather everything: the personnel files, client documents, sales agreements, and contracts, anything my hand could reach. While gathering what they found, Ashton accidentally brought up Isabella's father, who had apparently passed away the day before. Suddenly, her reasons for trying to fix this mess became clear to him, but in his attempt to comfort her, he only ended up upsetting her further. Yoshi? In record time, all of it has been stacked in a neat pile, ready for storage. I'm heading for the records room, not a few seconds later. Wherever that is. It should be an easy find, unless this place is a maze of some sort, which I highly doubt. Still beats staying here and seeing the hurt on her face, especially when I know that I'm part of the reason why it's here.
Belle, I'm sorry. That was insensitive of me.
I don't wait for her answer, because honestly, I'm more afraid of it'll be. What? I've stepped on something she values more than anything else in this world. Like this, it's easy to see why she has gone to such great lengths for her father, why she abandoned her dreams, why she went against his wishes, just to grant him another chance at life. This is how she loves: warm, steadfast, unflinching. What right do I have to question her, to tell her to let go, when it's the one thing she has so openly given the people around her all these years? The one thing that I will always have no reason to doubt. Others will say it's her warmth that draws people to her, or her cheer. She's annoying, actually. Excuse me. Neither are wrong, but neither is the whole truth to her either. Because those who have never bothered to look beyond the surface will never see her. sees someone earnest, someone who has always meant well despite her underlying stubbornness. In many ways, for a lot of reasons, she's the kind of person I want to be and be around with, who made me feel I'm still worth something. The way I am, her forgiveness is more than what I deserve. Except I have no right. I have no right to hear it at this point in time. Getting the files back to the BRC's archive room is a cinch. With the documents back in their proper places, I locked the door behind me, tugging it twice just to make sure. Now on to the next order of business, removing the evidence of our little excursion in here, or at the very least the parts showing what we've been doing during the past hour. Can't have our faces blasted on the security footage showing us breaking the law. As it were, I'm going to have to wipe the data for Isabella's access entries too. Surprisingly, finding the security room proves a breeze. What will be tricky is getting inside. The fact that no one has walked out during the whole time we've been here means the room is either empty or the security is sound asleep. I'm banking on the former. If they're cutting corners and firing agents, I have no doubt that they've fired the guy stationed here, if they have anyone watching the monitors in the first place. It's a rather common thing for establishments. Just leave security recording indefinitely and only check the footage if something actually happens. Just to check, I press my ears against the door, listening for a sign of anyone occupying the room. After a long minute and nothing, I give the knob a few rattles.
Standard lock and key. Should be easy enough to pick.
We have lockpick sets, but those are only to be used if necessary. And with a search warrant, even then, it's a skill set rarely needed. And he's using that skill to break into Zach's apartment every other week. Subtlety isn't on a cop's priority if they have authority to search the premises. Bolt cutters and brute force are the favorite methods. If those fail, we call a locksmith. Me? I prefer the good old hairpin trick when those options aren't available. Besides, they're easy to hide and store for emergencies. Running my hand through my hair, I pull a pair of bobby pins. 2 of these and I can just about open any standard lock. One makes a lever and the other makes a handle. I won't call it a complex skill, but it certainly takes time and a lot of practice to successfully pick a lock. Good thing I've practiced with them for a bit in my college years. I learn more when they're accessible and standard issue for a law enforcement officer. I wiggle here, I click there, and I manage to seize all the pins in the locking mechanism soon enough. With a slight turn of the knob, the security room is ripe for the picking. The room's odor hits me first, a sharp, nauseating stench, as if someone has accidentally spilled a gallon of bleach in the room. When was the last time they opened this place?
Ugh, this place smells awful. Jesus, it's worse than the forensics lab on a bad day.
This is probably because of a badly botched effort to clean the place up. Even in the dark, I can spy dark stains in the wall. Oh, with blood. I really don't have the time to try and play is this ketchup or soda right now, but I have this strange gut feeling who the mess might belong to. It's Seb. As expected, no security personnel mans the office's CCTV controls, and the standalone DVR setup is open for anyone. I thought Seb was on the first floor. Normally, I'd have a heap of things to say about this sloppy security setup, but right now, their negligence makes the whole task of erasing evidence easier.
No fuss, no muss.
The next one should be the access card data. Hopefully getting into their computer won't be too much of a hassle. Everything up to now has been smooth sailing. There have been hiccups. I'll give it that, though it does nothing to dampen the good mood I'm in. Once I shift my attention to the machine sitting next to the DVR setup, all of it swiftly evaporates. I'm no computer buff, but I can definitely recognize one more than a decade old. Simply looking at it makes me feel younger. With a heavy sigh, I power it up and mentally prepare myself for a slow slug. Slow apparently remains an understatement here. It takes a whole 3 minutes for the thing to start up. The OS hasn't even started loading. And in my boredom, I start inspecting the live feeds from the cams. Only 2 works. One for the view outside, everything seems to be in order there, and the other for main workspace where it's a fleeting glimpse, a cursory glance, but the sight of it stops me. It's right here. The image is a bit blurry, but standing there right in the middle of the room by one of the cubicles, I can make out the form of a...
What the hell is...
I don't get too far into the line of thought. No few seconds after my words have slipped out, without any sort of warning, while I'm trying to make sense of what it is, the figure now moves. Oh my god. The moment of paralysis hits me when she stops right in front of the camera. Like a damn rookie, I go still in the face of danger. I definitely haven't been trained to handle the supernatural, and this is one, isn't it? And oh fuck, her eyes bore into me, the malice in them, piercing, even beyond the screens, enough to make me go numb. Only the mug crashing to the floor when my hand accidentally takes a swipe at it snaps me out of the trance, reminding me that I'm not the only one here. Isabella. It seems she hasn't noticed anything. Am I the only one seeing this? In any case, whatever's happening, I have to get her out. Gathering my wits, I quickly reach for my phone. It takes but 2 seconds before she answers, but there's no time for relief.
Did you really have to call? We're practically on the same floor.
Get out of there.
What? Why are you...
Out. Get out. I'll meet you in the elevator. Just
You're creeping me out, Ash.
get yourself out of that place, now!
Without a second thought, I back away from the controls, from the room, ready to be done with this place. But before my foot even moves, she disappears.
Son of a...
Oh! You fucker! Instinct instantly takes over, and my hand quickly reaches for the gun at my side, only to meet empty air. A mistake that cost me a few precious seconds, while the paperwork I brought with me threatened to scatter everywhere at the same time. Gathering everything and myself once more, with no weapon to protect myself, my sense of self-preservation kicks in next and I lunge towards the door. I sprint across the office without daring to look back. Isabella is already waiting in front of the elevators by the time I make it out of their office. Worry creases her eyebrows upon glancing at me, but I don't have time to answer the question in her eyes. As soon as I reach her, I grab her arm, practically throw the two of us into the open elevator, and slam the button for the ground floor. A sigh of relief escapes from me when the elevator starts its descent. The clicking noise fades off into the distance. Besides me, Isabella shifts, moving the stack of papers under her arm while she takes in my appearance. Concerns in her eyes, though all I offer her is a small gesture of my hand while I attempt to compose myself. Breathe. In, out.
Why are we in such a hurry?
We need to get out of this place. Did you get everything?
Yeah, it's all here. But really, you don't look too good. What's wrong, Ash?
I'll be fine. I was in the security room. From the monitors, there was a fucking...
Oh my god. The rest of what I'm about to say dies on my tongue when the elevator stops and door opens too. There are a moment of pause while we both take in our surrounding confusion. Suddenly, understandably, there I can't even read. I'm just so scared.
Come on! You should just replace this whole thing.
No, I'm quite sure I pressed for the ground floor.
Right? But it's just as Isabella said, the elevator always did have problems when I visited in the past. Often she becomes so angry whenever we try to get to her floor, and she'll have to repeatedly smash the button for the elevator to even move. Oh my god. That was always good for a laugh. I wasn't too worried then. Now, oh my god, from the distance beyond the light's reach, the noise echoes in my ears, along with the rapid pounding in my chest. Isabella stiffens and her eyes grow wide at the sound. Gingerly, she reaches up to grab the hem of my sleeve and grips it hard, tight enough for her fingernails to dig through. Her eyes stretches wildly for the source of the sound while I stand protectively in front of her.
Ash, did you hear that?
Anyone there? I can hear you moving from here. Show yourself.
No response. No response, only the soft sound of something scurrying around the floor and the walls in slow, deliberate movements. Faint, though still audible enough in this hush. Until it stops. A
We
moment.
need to go, Ash. We have to.
And then... And this time, I'm certain it isn't my imagination. Against my training, my whole body freezes. My hands stilling mid-press on the button, eyes growing wide while waiting for any sort of movement from further back, and ears strained for the source of the sound. I can't even offer Isabella any reassurances. Much as I hate to admit, dread has seeped into every nerve in my body, and I blasted the elevator door, and the blast of the elevator still won't work.
This isn't in my fucking training manual.
Ash, we need to leave. I know that sound. Ash, please, get the elevator.
Another series of shuffling against the ground and laughter. All of a sudden, she's just there. Like a twisted spider, she stares at us. A look of hunger in her eyes and venom in the twisted manner she smiles. A glee she has well earned when we're damn flies. That we've been dropped right onto the spider's web.
Ashton!
Damn it!
Without warning, she moves, mocking me with each unhurried crawl she takes, knowing I'm at her mercy. What?
Fucking hell!
Ashton, the door! The door!
Our lives are in the hand of the crummy elevator, literally hanging between life and death. We're not going to die here. Not in the damn elevator. What? 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 What am I doing? What? 5? Okay. Come on. Oh, 1, 5, 2, 4, 2, 6, 4, 1, 9, 4. Oh, 1, 8, 4. The problem with this is like it's not taking the number key. You have to use the numbers on the left side of the key on your keyboard, not the number keys, which would be easier because I'm used to just using that. Ah! Jesus! Yeah, this is too hard using this number because this is not what I usually use. I use the numbers over here. This is almost impossible now. Yeah, it's too fucking, it's hard. This is impossible. Because if I can't use the number key, it's impossible. Yeah, it's impossible. Okay, let's start. This is impossible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, okay. 1, 2, 9, 8, 7. 1, 3, 8, 2, 6. 4, 9, 3. Oh my god, 6, 9. 4, 3, 1. Why can't I use the regular fucking number keys? It's fucking ass. 7, 1, 5, 8, 6. Nobody uses this. Not for quick fucking calculating and shit or quick number entry. There's fucking bullshit, man. God. 8, 5, 7, 2, 4, 3, 7, 8, 1, 5, 4, 5, 8, 2, 4, 5, 8. Oh my god, 4, 5, 9, 2, 3, 2, 5, 3, 4, 8. 4, oh my god, 2, 6, 4, 9, 8, 6, 7, 5, 3, 9, 7, 2, 8, 4. There's no way 5, 3, because this is not how people press numbers quickly. People use the fucking key, the right hand key fucking keyboard, what you call, on the keyboard. I'm not used to using this top one. And for them to not allow you to do that. So now it would require someone to read the number to me and... There's no way. There's just no way. I'm not used to using the E's to type fucking numbers. It's stupid. Okay, this was such an exciting part of the game, and then it's ruined by this. You can't even miss one. You can't even miss one. and you can't use the fucking number keys on the right hand. This is how people type fucking fast with numbers. I never use these. Never for numbers. It's fucking bullshit. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. There's no way. Like, it's gonna take me to fucking practice this 200 times before I can even be familiar with these keys up here. There's no way. I'm not fast enough because my fingers are like, where am I pressing? Because if I can use the fucking number keys on the right hand side of the keyboard, this is nothing. Jesus Christ. Come on, I don't want to skip the QTE. Come on. Just give me a good combination of numbers. And I'm pressing zeros. I mean, I'm not familiar with... I am so pissed with this game right now because it's not fair. And then if you miss one, ka-ching! Ka-ching! No, nothing for you! Ka-ching! What a way to ruin the moment, game. And then the number combination is so long that you can't just look and then just type it in. Oh my god! And without somebody here reading this for me, this is gonna be impossible. That last combo is almost so stupid. I mean, because I have to look and look at the keys because I'm not familiar with pressing the keys from the top of the keyboard. This is crazy. It's not even fair. And then if you press the wrong one, it immediately cancels out the whole sequence too. Jesus Christ. As if divine power has made me swearing up a storm in my head, the door closed just as the thing looms near. Bullshit. Soon the elevator, the blasted thing, is headed up. Isabella's knees buckle in relief. In 2 ticks, she's hugging herself without any care for the mess of papers and folders she has dropped on the floor in her panic. Does anyone even use the fucking top row? Like the number keys in the top row of the keyboard. Does anyone even actually like familiar with that? Like when people are typing numbers, they always use the fucking right side of the keyboard. At least I do. I don't associate the top row as number keys. I associate them as the symbols. Because for numbers, they're, you know, they're like really, you know, having 3 rows actually stacked on top of each other. That's the easiest way to train yourself to type numbers. So for them to actually want you to use the regular keys for numbers, yeah, that really got me. They didn't even think about that, I bet. It's bullshit. She draws in one ragged breath after another, each one brimming with nothing but relief. And this is the most I've been tired my whole damn life. Me too. Not during training when my superior first asked me to drop 100, not even after a stakeout, but after smashing a fucking elevator button repeatedly. But I wasn't even smashing them repeatedly. The action doesn't even match like what the character is doing, like because they want you to precisely enter a specific number combination, and then if you hit the wrong number combination, then it gets canceled out. That's why when I first saw the numbers actually on the screen, I was like clicking on them like crazy, because that's what he's doing, right? He's just like pressing all the numbers, trying to get the door to close. And they should have actually let you do that instead of pressing number combinations. So even that minigame, the previous minigames have been okay. This is the worst. It didn't make any fucking sense. It's like they ran out of ideas here near the end. They're like, how can we make this really scary? Well, I slumped to the ground beside her, worn out, but I don't let myself feel relief again, not until we're out of here. Isabella seems to be on the same mind as she looks to me. Still, I find myself shaking a shaky laugh with her.
We're okay. We're fine. Right?
Yeah, we're good. Alive. Fuck, we should have taken the goddamn stairs.
Twice I've seen it. Thrice, if I include the party. Unless I'm tripping balls without realizing it, there's no doubt in my mind that this is actually happening. I don't want to believe it. But with the truth staring at me in the face, it'll be stupid. It will be stupidity to deny the reality of the matter. As soon as the lift hits the ground, we hightail out of the building. Seb's sound asleep when we pass by his station. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop here. It's been 2 hours. And I was just going mad over that minigame, QTE. Ashton and Isabella beat a quick exit after getting what they needed, making sure to leave evidence, not to leave evidence of their break-in. On their way out, however, the elevator malfunctioned and dropped them into the building's basement instead, where a familiar face welcomed them. That was a nice scene. It was scary, but they ruined it with that really, really horrible QTE, so... But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get this done by Halloween. If not, then I'll continue playing it until it's done. We're very close to the end anyway.